All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bitcoin Brief with your host, Tone Vays and Jimmy Song. Trying to bring you the show at least once a week. I'm still testing out the new mics. Please let us know if our audio levels are similar. So, perfect time to get Jimmy right in here. Jimmy, how's everything over in Texas?
Well, Texas is great. We're still required to wear masks in a few places, but for the most part, people are pretty chill. The Bitcoin meetups have been doing fantastic. There's another one coming up next week. We had like 200 people show up for the last one, including like 100 people from out of town. And this is continuing to be the case. A lot of people moving into town, a lot of different people that you probably know and recognize are in Austin now. A lot of fun, definitely. So yeah, it's a good place to be.
Yeah, well, right now it's basically Miami, Florida, Texas, and Dubai. That's basically it. And some people are moving down to Mexico. There's really nowhere else you'd want to be right now. I'm reading articles how if you're an Australian, you basically can't come back to the country for like at least another year. Well, like it's getting really out of control. Singapore still makes you quarantine in a hotel for 3 weeks without the ability to even walk out of the room. It just continues to be out of control. This is why like global travel is
Yeah.
insane
And
right
this is
now.
why your family left Russia, Tone. But yeah, I mean, this is happening everywhere now. I don't know, maybe the communists won. I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, hopefully Texas will secede and you won't have to deal with this shit anymore. I know Jimmy will
One
be
can
part
only
of the
hope. One
resistance.
can only hope.
All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the show. We're going to talk about a bunch of news that has taken place over the last week. Tried to get Giacomo on, but maybe next time. He's a very busy man. All right, let's go to screen share. And we're going to go right to the application. Boom. All right, man, when I tweeted this out and I tagged Mike Novogratz, I got some very visceral reactions here. I personally don't have a problem with Mike Novogratz, and his Galaxy Digital is planning to buy BitGo for 1.2 billion. We covered this story not that long ago, where we thought that PayPal might buy BitGo, which actually made sense for PayPal to buy BitGo to get into the crypto game. I really thought that Galaxy Digital was just like a fund, a hedge fund, and I didn't think they wanted to operate businesses like BitGo, which is basically it's hard to explain BitGo for me. Maybe Jimmy can do a better job, but to me, it's like literally like a third-party custodian that isn't really a custodian, like a third-party multi-sig that helps you with your Bitcoin security. And they've been a pretty good company over the years. But Jimmy, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, so BitGo's been around for a while. I think if you guys have been watching our show, you know that you know Mike Belshi, who's the CEO, was one of the leaders of the 2X movement and so on. So I mean, they've had, and of course, like a lot of their employees, including CTO Ben. Why can't I remember his last name for some reason? Yeah, and Jameson, like they were all like against 2X, so it was kind of a weird company to begin with. But yeah, you're basically right. They're a third party custodian that uses multi-sig, that knows how to do the security stuff. Their clients include Bitfinex and Bitstamp and many others. But basically, they make it very hard for you to steal, digital assets because they're using multisig. Now, PayPal was slated to buy them because they needed they needed BitGo to do the custody portion of their crypto offerings. It sounds like they're still a customer, but Galaxy Digital is scooping them up, probably like kind of as a bet on this industry. expanding, something to that effect. I don't, I see them kind of like how you see them. They seem more like money managing firm, some sort of fund. And this does happen from time to time where you'll acquire a business because you want to sell it later, something to that effect, or use it to, at the very least, use it to custody your own stuff, or maybe there's some synergies with some other companies that you might be investing in. These are common reasons, but I don't expect them to hold on to BitGo for all that long, but I might be wrong.
Man, you just used the word that's absolutely triggering to me. I hate the word synergies. It is so triggering because, like, for example, it doesn't happen as often, but prior to last year, every day some random would cold DM me on LinkedIn for years. Like every day someone would be like, I see we have a lot of common. We can have great synergies in the blockchain space. Man, I can't stand that word. Like the moment I saw the word synergies in somebody's message to me on LinkedIn, it would just frustrate the hell out of me because obviously this person has no idea who I am. They've never looked me up, but somehow LinkedIn recommended me to them, and they're immediately DMing because we have great synergies. Like it's just so frustrating.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that word in a while.
Sorry. Maybe I'll use other words like paradigm and buzzword bingo. We could do that.
Yeah. Oh man. So the live chat is also not huge fans of Mike Novogratz. But like I put Mike Novogratz almost in the same bucket as I put Elon Musk. Like, yeah, they're gonna tweet about a bunch of shit coins because they can make money off those shit coins. But I mostly have a problem with people that start their own. Anyway, we're not going to get into this now, but maybe we'll do it another time. Or maybe we'll talk about it with Mike Novogratz if he ever decides to come back to the show. But based on the live chat, if he's watching, he probably wouldn't want to. Okay, so speaking of financial companies, more announcements. An e-commerce giant, Mercado Libre, which I've honestly have never heard of, but they are an e-commerce giant apparently, has disclosed a $7.8 million Bitcoin buy. Not a crazy buy. 7.8 million is what, like 150 Bitcoin or something?
Yeah,
something in that area. But they are a publicly traded company. We can go and take a look at their ticker. But hey, more companies getting into Bitcoin. This is great, right?
Yeah, there was another company which I can't remember that also came in last week. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. But yeah, this is a common thing that's happening. Everyone knows that the dollar is melting like crazy. So, where else are you going to go, right? Nexon is the other one that I heard about that did this last week. They made a purchase of $100 million in Bitcoin. They're a game company, online game provider, something like that, I guess. I'd never heard of them either. But, the forward-looking CFOs are all doing this, and I expect a lot more of them to be announcing this.
Well, right. Well, the more that do it, the more will do it, because now they're losing out to their competitors. It was that tweet that you sent out, I think after something I said on one of these shows, buy Bitcoin or your enemies will. In this case, it's buy Bitcoin or your competitors will.
Yeah, and your competitor, you get an edge by storing money in Bitcoin because your cash isn't melting. So instead of incentivizing debt, you're incentivizing savings for a lot of these companies, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. So speaking of companies getting into Bitcoin, as we've said before, I thought it was more important for Tesla to start accepting a Bitcoin as payment for their cars versus putting their treasuries into Bitcoin. But even more importantly, was the fact that now that they're accepting the Bitcoin for their cars, that they're keeping they're holding on to that Bitcoin as cars. And the next step in that business cycle is to actually use that Bitcoin to pay employees and or pay the suppliers. And here's a company in Mesa, Arizona. I actually know the company. I've been there. I don't know if I want to, like, the CEO's name is not really mentioned here, so I don't know if I want to do shout outs. I don't know how private they really want to be. But there is a company in Mesa, Arizona that is now paying their employees in Bitcoin. The company is Autoline Industries. I have a really, really cool shop they have. The last time I was in Arizona, I stopped by. They're big fans of Bitcoin, and they're now started paying their employees in Bitcoin. So this is the next real step. So you think Tesla's going to get there one day, Joe?
It's Jimmy, but yeah, I think so.
Jimmy.
I think so. I mean, there are enough Tesla employees that probably want at least some Bitcoin exposure, and getting it via their paycheck is probably a good idea. Yeah, it's kind of a the employees kind of have to demand it, right? Like that's the only way it'll happen. Kind of like companies taking Bitcoin for their goods and services as well. It has to be the company that demands it and not refuses to accept anything else. There used to be celebrities that did that for particular contracts. I still remember Giselle refused to get paid in the dollar. She wanted euros or something like that way back when she was a supermodel and doing stuff. So that's how it's going to have to be. It's nice that they're willing to pay in Bitcoin, but it has to be coming from the demand side for it to really be effective.
All right, everyone's laughing at me in the live chat because the last person that was on the show was Joe Sass. So I just used to say Joe. All right, so speaking of more people that are buying into Bitcoin, we're gonna. I mean, you're good friends with Russell Okung. You spoke at his conference over in LA, and he's definitely getting a lot of the NFL players on board. Here's a tight end from the Kansas City Chiefs that is going to put a lot of money into Bitcoin, putting his base salary of almost $1 million all into Bitcoin. And the #1 pick going into the NFL, Trevor Lawrence. This one is a little more interesting. It's so he's putting his entire signing bonus, which is substantial, $22 million, but he is diversifying. So this is probably what we're going to focus on, but it's a little hard to figure out which coins he's diversifying into because different websites said different coins. This one's saying Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Doge. Bitcoin and Ethereum are obvious, and then other sources, and CoinDesk actually didn't cover this story. I'm surprised. They love covering Doge and all the other nonsense, but this was actually a really good story that I didn't see go through CoinDesk. This one says Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. I'm still not familiar with Solana. And this one has a different amount of money. So no matter where you look with the story, like the numbers are always different. The coins are always different. Solana is like the third or fourth shitcoin coming out of FTX. I know they have their own. I mean, hey, some people just want to print money with different coins. So this is a really big one because this is supposed to be the. I mean, if he's good, if he's not good, this will not work. This will not age well. But if he's good and he's supposed to be good, that's going to be interesting for all the new young players coming out into other sports as well. Your view on this?
Yeah, so as far as I know, Trevor Lawrence and Russell Okung and the tight end that whose name I can't remember. I'm sorry. Sean Culkin aren't the only ones. There's also Richard Sherman. I believe he's very into Bitcoin. Saquon Barkley, he's also pretty into Bitcoin. And I also believe Barry Silbert's company is Digital Currency Group is now a sponsor for the New York Giants. So, sports and Bitcoin are definitely crossing over like crazy. Russell obviously sort of led the way. I'm not going to disclose who, but I did talk to an NFL player and gave him my book after he was asking about Bitcoin. They're certainly all talking about it.
The programming book?
Not the programming one. Thank God for Bitcoin. That's the one that I gave him.
Just checking. Hey, so some of them could be into programming.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah, so this is really, really good sign. And I'm a little disappointed that people, like the right people, aren't informing him that, hey, if you're putting your money into something other than Bitcoin, you really are more speculating than protecting your value. So, but right now, the way it's going, I mean, people will have to learn their lesson the hard way. All right. You know what? Before we get to Taproot and the Bitcoin block, so earlier today, I once again got into a little Twitter discussion because people seem to really believe in Monero, that Monero is somehow better than Bitcoin because it has one slightly better technological element, and that being privacy. And it's a challenge to convince these people that while we acknowledge the fact that Monero is more private than Bitcoin, it's still not something that has a high probability of success. And the best way for me to almost create an analogy, and analogies aren't great, so let's see what Jimmy thinks about my analogy. If we compare something like Bitcoin to the Tesla Cybertruck, especially something like this, okay? This is not very private because you can see right through the glass, but this glass is actually bulletproof. So this is what you would drive through a hostile environment, whether it's a hostile road based on its terrain, or you're driving this through, say, a peaceful protest. I would much rather be in this, even though it's going to move fairly slow, but there isn't much that is going to stop it. On the other hand, and the reason why I picked this car is because this is the car I used to have, literally this exact model, and with these exact tinted windows. It's a regular car with very nice tinted windows. Let's say the windshield is tinted as well, where nobody can actually see you. But this is not very secure. And even if it moves a little bit faster, it is still not very secure. It is easily stoppable. And not to mention, at some point, you will have to get out of the car, just like you will have to get out of the Cybertruck. So this little bit of extra privacy is not going to be more useful than something that is significantly more unstoppable. And that's like my silly analogy on Bitcoin versus Monero. Jimmy?
Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of like that. The thing about Monero is that they do have better privacy, but they don't have a better monetary policy. You have no idea if there are extra coins being printed because all their amounts are shielded and so on. So that to me is not a good trade-off because you have no idea if there's extra Bitcoin that floats around. And in fact, this is not something theoretical. This happened to Bitcoin, which shares a lot of the same code base as Monero back in 2017 when extra transactions were made. You have no idea how many extra Bitcoin got created. They managed to patch that particular flaw in time, but you have no idea if there are others like that. And that's I would rather have something where you can know the actual number of coins that exist and have less privacy than something with really good privacy, but you have no idea how many of the amount exists. And that's essentially the case with these privacy coins that don't make the right trade-off, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like it's interesting. People say in the comments. One comment is, "I know a guy who uses Monero to buy his meds." Yes, and I know a guy who played in the NBA at 5 feet 3 inches tall. His name is Muggsy Bogues. That doesn't mean it happens very often. Like it's uh, look, it happens, right? There have been a couple of Chinese players in the NBA as well, but again, this doesn't happen often. You got to go with. What is everybody using, what is everybody doing, and getting everybody to switch to Monero is actually an impossible task. It's never going to happen, guys. Sure, you're welcome to use it if it makes you feel better, but getting in and out of Monero will potentially be less privacy than sticking with only Bitcoin. And sticking with Monero also could potentially cause you significant financial harm, because in the long run, it will not outperform Bitcoin. All right, now we're going to get back to our final two topics. One of them being that a block was mined. Let me refresh this so that we can also cover the mempool as well while we're at it, but we're going to cover the story first. So right here, a block was mined with Coinbase comment, OFAC compliant block. For those that are unfamiliar with OFAC, OFAC is basically the American, like the KYC, like anti-money laundering, like financial arm. I'm trying to remember what the letters actually stand for. I forget myself, but once I saw that, I was like, oh, I remember this. Because everyone was talking about it. It was actually in our group. Yeah, so it's the Office of Foreign Asset Control. So I think this is horrible. I've always been a believer that money is a person's property and it's not to anyone else's business. But hey, there is this global enforcement of your money being potentially criminal based on where that money came from. Now, remember, this doesn't technically apply to US dollar bills. It doesn't matter how much cocaine residue is on your $100 bill. Your $100 bill is still worth $100. But that same model doesn't seem to apply to the digital version of that money. And here are the authorities trying to apply it into Bitcoin. Now, we don't know who mined this block to put that there. We also
we do. It's called Maro Pool right there. MARA.
Oh, because it says minor unknown.
No. Well, it's like in the Coinbase message, it says
Maro it's right there. Okay, I was looking at it over there. Okay.
Maro Pool. And this is a pool that apparently operates out of North America. And
I'm not familiar with their work. Let's Google them.
I mean, I think they're new, and they're trying to be a pool that's in the US or something to that effect. I think you have to put Bitcoin in there to otherwise you're going to get random pools of some kind.
Okay.
Yeah, Marathon. So Marathon is that like stock along with Riot that's mining.
Oh yeah, okay. They're a publicly traded company. Okay.
Yeah,
I see. We can look them up. See how their stock's doing. Well, their stock's doing well, but hey, their shares are down quite a bit today. Oh, this week. I wonder what this means, right? Because look, as a company, they will not be able to process certain transactions. So that means they, as a pool, will make less money than other pools. So what do you think about all this, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're trying to, because they're a public company, they're probably trying to make sure that they're compliant with everything, because if they weren't, then, like it could be really bad news for their stock. I'm hearing through the grapevine that a lot of hedge funds and pension funds and, like mutual funds, like they're putting Mara and Riot on their balance sheet as a way to get Bitcoin exposure. I don't know if Mara is necessarily a very good, I mean, running a pool isn't necessarily a very good business thing for them. I think they should just focus on mining and join some other pool. That way they have like plausible deniability. The other thing about this block that's interesting is that the fees are just so low, 0.05 Bitcoin.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you can get 0.75, especially lately, and it's not uncommon to get 0.75 or 1 or 1.5 even in fees, especially during a bull market like this. So it is very strange that they mined all these coins that, or mined these transactions that really weren't paying very much. But that's the cost of compliance. You lose about 10% of your revenue in complying with this thing. If anything, this is kind of like an object lesson on why like complying with government mandates isn't good for your business.
Yeah. So at the moment, as you guys can see, we are processing blocks. We've gone up. We cleared a lot of the mempool over the last week, Jimmy, since our last show. And we're down to 60 something blocks. And we got a shot at getting this thing down in half through the weekend, if not finally clearing the mempool. We got a good shot.
I don't think we're going to clear the mempool. But the other thing that I want to point out is that the size of this block was particularly large, 2.32 megabytes. Check that out.
Oh, wow.
You can see above, if you scroll up, that normal blocks are 1.25, right. 1.3. So they mine mostly SegWit. So I'm not sure if that's sort of like a way of, although, some of them are obviously ones starting with a 1 or whatever. I'm not sure if they're trying to like signal to the Bitcoin community, hey, we might have done like compliance, but we mined a lot of SegWit transactions and our block, included a lot of them. So maybe they become the pool to they're basically giving SegWit users a discount or something like that.
Yeah, maybe, but it's nice of them to do that. I mean, they're doing something that's not ideal for the Bitcoin community, so they may be trying to make up for that by telling people, hey, you're more likely to get your SegWit block mined. But how big of a miner are they? So it's been how many blocks since they mined this block? It's been almost 100. It's coming up on 100 blocks soon. It's been 70 blocks since they mined it, and let's see when they mine another one, and if they're gonna put that in every single block. So this is interesting. This is, of course, only gonna happen with US compliant mining operations, and this does not stop all of your transactions. Like other miners are not gonna care to be OFAC compliant.
Yeah, and that's the key, is that you're just screwing yourself. And this is one of the beautiful incentives of Bitcoin, is that you can do stuff that's that screws over some users, but it's going to be at the cost of yourself, because you're not going to get the absolute best transactions, and no one's going to join your pool if you're producing like 10% less revenue. Like everyone's gonna rather get 10% more revenue. So yeah.
All right, let's get our Taproot update. Things are getting interesting over in that realm of the world. Because I'm looking at everyone in the crypto space, not everyone, but it went from having laser eyes for no reason whatsoever because people were bored, to having green squares everywhere. What do they mean? I'm so lost behind the times.
Yeah. So the green, you can see this if you scroll down a little bit, you can see that this is the current signaling period, and it's 2016 blocks. And the way they did it was a red square for not signaling and a green square for signaling. So You can see that at least the first group of blocks there, they weren't signaling, and then Slush Pool mined the very first Taproot signaling block that was green, and you know, since then more and more are signaling. The reason for that was because the Taproot binary, the version of the Bitcoin Core software that's already compiled was not available as of when this you know, signaling period started. So a lot of the miners just didn't bother upgrading. I think Slush Pool basically just compiled the binary themselves. I believe the binary is available now, so a lot more of these pools are starting to signal. So F2 pool and a bunch of others are definitely signaling. By the end of this period, I expect most of them to be signaling, and in the next, in the period after this one, which starts around May 14th or so, that's when we'll probably get Taproot in that you know, 2-week period. So very excited, but that does delay things a little bit. So it would have, had it successfully gone through in this 2-week period, then we would have gotten Taproot around November 15th. It looks like we'll get it closer to Thanksgiving now. So yeah.
Wait, so what do you mean? Is the period over? I still see a lot of empty squares.
Yeah. So we're gonna have to wait for this one to finish. It's definitely not going through on this one because that's not 90%, and there's already been more.
Oh, so you need 90% of this entire thing.
Yeah, to be green. And
okay,
it's already
that's not gonna happen. There's
yeah,
no way.
it can't happen. It's if you look up go scroll up a little bit. Yeah, there's already been 567 non-signaling blocks, and the most you can have is like, you know, 200.
So why would this be released without, you know, the miners ready to signal for it?
I mean, they could have. It's just it turns out they don't compile their own binaries. They wait for the binaries and then you know, tweak a few settings and things like that. So you know, they just didn't get it out in time, and you know, they weren't ready. So they're now like getting ready, and you can see more green over time. There are certain pools that haven't done it, but I fully expect them to as we.
Well,
you know,
I actually don't. Like, I don't expect Via BTC to do it. They're a Bcash operation. I don't expect BTC.com to do it. I actually consider them a Bcash operation as well.
They've all indicated that they will. So either they're lying or they're, you know.
I'm gonna lean towards lying, but we'll see what happens.
We will.
Poolin, I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, there. I mean, the thing is, like, you know, like it's not so simple to just like go upgrade the software, especially when you're running a pool, because any downtime is lost money.
Yeah, people in the live chat are saying that's pretty bad planning. I agree, that is pretty bad planning.
But that was kind of the point of speedy trial, is to let's see how quickly, like, if speedy trial doesn't go through, then we have some problems. But you know, it was meant to be speedy. It was meant to be, hey, let's just get this out there and see if the miner signal for it. And that's what we're waiting for, is for them to get ready. A lot of them clearly aren't ready. So yeah.
Okay, so this clearly, this speedy trial thing was a flop. So now what?
It's not a flop. We have 3 months for them to try to signal. So like, this is the first in the of 6 difficulty periods where we can reach 90%. So
oh, but we're not going to be able to do it in this difficulty period.
Yeah.
Okay, so next difficulty period, that's
which starts in about
delay.
Yeah. So instead of like November 15th, it'll be like November 29th or something.
Okay, so that's not a big difference.
No.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get to, you know, 90% of a single line being green by the end of this period.
Yeah, and I fully expect that. I mean, they know they have time, because, you know, it's they already know that this difficulty adjustment period isn't going to be enough. So they're taking their time, and they'll be ready.
All right, so we'll keep you guys posted on that as well. All right, Jimmy, we want to promote your book real quick, and then I'm gonna go move on to the price.
Yeah, so I have 3 different books. Programming Bitcoin. This is for developers. If you want to learn Bitcoin, you can go and learn it through this book. We also have the other 2 books, the Little Bitcoin book and Thank God for Bitcoin. One is for people that don't know anything about Bitcoin, and the other is a book that makes a moral case for Bitcoin from a Christian perspective. There's the Little Bitcoin book, and there's Thank God for Bitcoin. All books are available on Amazon. And yeah, Little Bitcoin book and Thank God for Bitcoin are also available in audiobook. And yeah, it's been doing very well. Obviously, during any bull market, all the Bitcoin books do very well. So those are it for the books. I am also locations is what you want to do. I am also going to be running the programming blockchain seminar in Miami right before the Bitcoin 2021 conference. And I will be running it also in Mexico right before the Bitcoin Standard Conference. But yeah, it's an interactive 2-day seminar. I've been doing these for years. Obviously, the past year, not so much because of COVID. But yeah, if you want to sign up, apply there. And you'll get not the early bird discount, but still kind of early discount.
Cool. I will definitely see you in Mexico, Jimmy. I will probably see you in Miami, not on these dates, but probably like on the 4th, 5th. If there's any meat dinners with an empty seat, keep me posted.
Yeah, there's definitely at least one that I know of, but that one's kind of expensive. I'm not sure if I'll be going to that one, but we'll see.
All right. Oh, if you're not going to that one and you're free, we'll do our own.
I think Safe has one that he's doing as well. So there's several.
All right. We actually have a question. I guess I can try to answer it. The real answer is I don't really know. Do you think Taproot implementation will suppress Bitcoin price briefly due to FUD prior to activation, kind of like the pre-fork wars? I don't think so. There's really no FUD surrounding Taproot. It's just whether certain miners want to activate it enough, soon enough, or do they want to cause some havoc? Like, for example, if it needs to be another user-activated soft fork, that has a possibility of dropping the price because it's not something that we want to do again. Now, if it's just being activated by the miners, that is a pretty bullish sign for Bitcoin. It means that people aren't at each other's throats fighting over something that has no reason to be fought over. So the smoother Taproot activation goes, the better it is for the Bitcoin price. The more challenging it is to activate, then price is going to drop. That's kind of my view on it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see exactly how that plays out, but yeah, I expect Taproot to be a major boon for Bitcoin. And right now it's lining up so that we might get Taproot activation right before the Bitcoin 2021 conference. And there's usually a pump right before the conferences, especially one this big. It's going to be absolutely insane. I expect a lot of converging things at that point. So who knows? We might see a very, very nice price pump at that point.
Yeah. Someone else asked how much hash rate is Jihan controlling? The answer is 0. He's been fired after his amazing efforts to lead the company forward in 2017. But Ampool still has some hash rate, but it's not Jihan at the wheel. Okay, the weekly chart remains in consolidation mode. I like the fact that the body of current candle is fully above the 7-period moving average, though we did dip below it earlier in the week. I might need another week or two before the weekly chart goes into full bullish mode. The daily chart, I drew this blue line at the prior daily swing high close of 58,000. And I made it very clear yesterday that I need a close above that line to become bullish Bitcoin once again. We did not get that close today. So I would need that close tomorrow, or I would need to be trading above today's high. But basically, if at this time tomorrow, we are trading above 58,000, I turn bullish at that point. Because if by this time tomorrow we are trading above 58, then the probability is very, very high that we are going to close above 58 because we only have about 6 hours to go before the candle closes. So with 6 to 8 hours left in a candle, trading above 58,000 gets me bullish on the daily time frame. The shorter term time frames, the 1 hour tops yesterday right at an MRI top. We then tried one more time to break this resistance line of an MRI trend from earlier, and we got perfectly rejected. We have now pulled back. We are trading in a horizontal channel, and that is the $58,000 line, which needs to be broken for me to turn bullish. This here 1 hour chart at the moment still remains a little bit bearish. What about the 4 hour? The 4 hour looks fairly neutral. It is now holding all the moving averages. And the 4 hour also have an MRI resistance line right at 58,000. Everything is aligning at 58,000. An hourly close, a 4 hour close, a daily close. The moment it's looking like everything is starting to close above the $58,000 level, well, maybe not the weekly, but everything below the weekly time frame is going to turn bullish. And if that rallies past 60, the weekly will be turning bullish as well. Once again, beautiful MRI buy opportunity on the 4 hour chart yesterday at 8 p.m. New York time. All right, that is pretty much it. Glancing at the GBTC, the premium is still pretty suppressed, and this line approximately represents the $58,000 Bitcoin area. So above that line on GBTC will also make me bullish, and eventually this GBTC premium will go to zero. No idea how long, could take another year, but that's where it eventually has to go for efficient markets to do their thing. Gold broke out. I'm not surprised at all. I've been bullish gold since this MRI buy opportunity. This was a little bit, an iffy moment here coming back down, but we never broke the yearly low. We never broke the yearly low daily close. We had a beautiful MRI buy followed by a sell, slightly bigger pullback than expected. And I've been a bull on gold ever since, and I expect gold to go significantly higher. The stock market, the daily chart of the stock market is hanging in there near the top, holding a moving average. But as I've been mentioning, the weekly chart of the stock market is on an MRI sell. It is a borderline consolidation MRI sell, which occasionally does show signs of more upside. But for now, I'm going to stay out of the stock market if I was in the stock market and wait for a better long opportunity. That is pretty much it, unless Jimmy has some price questions.
Yeah, I mean the triangle, when do we break out of it? Like the weekly one, yeah.
This triangle probably on this arrow, probably at the second half of May. So we got this week, then we have one more week, will probably be another consolidation, and then I expect us to break out the week after. It's also possible this thing is going to drag all the way into June. The longer this drags, the more violent the breakout to the upside. Like, for example, if we stay in this triangle all the way into July, I would expect this thing to go from 60 to almost 100K fairly quickly because so much time has gone by. Prices can either correct through price crashes or through time getting traders very, very pissed and upset that shit isn't moving. Now, what could be the catalyst for this? I don't know. And shitcoins continue to pump. I'm actually very curious where Dogecoin is these days.
Last I checked, it was like 57 cents or something.
Yeah, so Dogecoin hit an MRI top versus the price of Bitcoin and has so far pulled back nicely. On the daily dollar chart, it hit its MRI top one day earlier. This was the day of versus Bitcoin top, and we are now continuing to pull back. And Ethereum has been on a giant tear as it continues to go up against Bitcoin. And this is your warning, guys. This is the warning candle. So I expect Ethereum to top either probably tomorrow. Ethereum versus Bitcoin, I would expect that to top sometime tomorrow. And if that pulls back significantly, that's probably value that's going to go into Bitcoin. So that could be the catalyst to drive Bitcoin higher because Ethereum is about to reach its top on the MRI versus the dollar. The counts are certainly very, very different. So versus the dollar, it can keep rising, but versus Bitcoin, just like with Doge, don't ignore the MRI signal that it's coming in Ethereum tomorrow, and tomorrow is only 6 hours away in a 24-hour market. All right. Oh, Litecoin. Litecoin versus Bitcoin has hit its MRI top along with extension C. So there you go. Shitcoins might be topping, guys. We'll probably talk more about this on another stream that is more focused on trading. All right, that is it. For more on my work, please check out Vays.com. There is a free Learn Trading section along with my on-demand videos on learning trading. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you all so much for watching, and see you all on the next one.